Hi everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have an interesting show for you today. I am going to be featuring one of my PowerPoint presentations titled The Ghosts of Reno. This PowerPoint presentation was created for lectures during the Halloween season. Thank you so much for joining us today on Psychic Creations, and please enjoy the show. Hi everyone, welcome to this lecture. I am Sandie La Nae and I am a Nevada author. I write books in different genres, including my favorite volumes of what I have termed historic paranormal, the history and spirits of a particular building. Today I will speak about several haunted places in Reno. Some of these accounts are written about in length in my books. First, I'd like to say that I have a very special rapport with the deceased. During the lecture, you will hear my experiences with the paranormal as well. And now, for the Ghosts of Reno. The Mapes Hotel, built near the Truckee River, was once a grand beauty of a hotel and casino. It opened on December 17, 1947, and quickly became the premier resort in Reno. Many of the biggest singers and entertainers of the time performed in the Sky Room, a famous nightclub and stage situated at the top of the building. Due to financial difficulties of the 1981 recession, the casino closed on December 17, 1982. After a succession of failed attempts to keep the casino going by the next hotel owners, the building then sat empty and alone and began to decay. The city of Reno condemned the building and demolished it on January 30th, 2000. For many years before the building was destroyed, it was reported to be haunted by a spirit thought to be a man who committed suicide by jumping off the roof, where the Sky Room is located. After the building was razed, an ice rink was created for winter fun on the empty lot in 2001. Skaters reported a spirit was haunting the ice rink. Comparing notes, it was believed to be the same phantom man that haunted the Mapes Hotel. The Aroma Club Cafe, located at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Old Town Mall, served coffee and tea and Russian and vegetarian foodstuffs. Walking into the Aroma Club left me with an uneasy feeling, but that uneasy feeling was amplified when I used the powder room. Hairs on the back of my neck would stand up as I would feel phantom eyes intensely staring at me. After feeling this sensation twice, I made sure to use the restroom elsewhere, like in Gardnerville. The Park Lane Shopping Mall, once located at 310 East Plum Lane, was home to over 70 establishments. Before the mall was demolished, it was reported by store owners to be haunted by the ghost of a former shopper who was murdered there. As the story goes, in 1976, a young woman was found dead in the downstairs bathroom. Her apparition was said to appear most often around 9 p.m. on the third Saturday of the month. Presumably, this was her death time and death week. To date, this murder case has never been solved. But being the mall is gone now, I wonder if she is still haunting the area of the restrooms locale. The Levy House at 121 California Avenue was built in 1906 by successful mining and business entrepreneur William Levy. The magnificent mansion has 3 stories, an attic, and a cellar. Through the years, much activity has been reported within. The sensations and sounds range from cold spots being felt in rooms located on the upper floors, and running footsteps are heard on the second and third floor hallways. Items are mysteriously moved, and found in strange places. An apparition of a young boy has been seen in the attic, and a phantom man wearing a dark suit has been viewed in many of the rooms and in hallways. Feelings of uneasiness, nausea, and instant headaches are experienced on stairways, in the cellar and attic, along with the sense of being watched. A warehouse at 2275 Dickerson Road was remodeled into a soundstage with bleacher-style audience seating. During the 2013 Halloween season, the Potentialist Workshop was offering an event here for their Folk of the Lore program. I and other guests were asked to speak about a personal paranormal encounter. Before the program began, I found it interesting to watch each visitor arrive, accompanied by at least 2 spirits coming through the door with them. When it was my time to speak, while standing on the stage, I took a few moments to scan the audience. With the 100 live people attending, there must have been over 300 living impaired guests sitting right with them. That night, the lighting and sound technicians were having a difficult time keeping the equipment working properly, something that never transpired before. At 239 West 2nd Street sits the El Cortez Hotel. In 1931, Abe Situni, a local real estate investor, commissioned the construction of the El Cortez Hotel to cater to the expected influx of temporary tenants from the passage of the new divorce law, just a 6-week residency requirement. At 6 stories high, with a full basement, the 60-room Art Deco-style hotel became Reno's tallest building. Much paranormal activity has occurred in this hotel, with the primary account reported of feeling cold spots. Cold spots are interesting, as the frigid air is completely different than, say, being out in the snow or opening the freezer section of your refrigerator. Ghostly cold spots are a bitter, icy phenomenon. You may not have any goosebumps rise up when a cold spot hits you, but they can make you quite nauseous. It is believed that cold spots are a spirit's energy source. Believe me, though, cold spots are a sensation that you probably won't want to ever feel twice. Following along the lines of the El Cortez Hotel, the Washoe County Courthouse, which sits at 117 South Virginia Street, built in 1910, was significant for playing a role in the divorce industry as well. Oh, it also plays a role in Reno government. There are many ghosts in the courthouse, and this is understandable as the site has seen much human drama since it opened in 1911. The building is said to harbor unhappy ghosts of those who were on the losing end of divorce decisions. Apparitions have been seen moping around the grounds, and witnesses have described cold spots in the building. Stated a courthouse employee, "What with all the ghosts hanging out, they give the place a sad and gloomy atmosphere." The Nevada Historical Society at 1650 North Virginia Street is profoundly haunted. Being it is a museum, a depository and repository for artifacts and information, it is amazing how many spirits are still hanging out with their objects, relics, and articles. In my numerous journeys into museums and antique stores, I have discovered hundreds of spirits that stay with a beloved item. Some will move their objects to other places, and will even hide their personal belonging, as spirits are quite possessive of their earthly items. Please note that the Nevada Historical Society has wonderful spirits who are likely to be your invisible docent when you visit. The Black Bear Diner, located at 2323 South Virginia Street, has a spirit man who wears a tuxedo and top hat. He stands at the door and greets customers as they enter into the restaurant. His manner is very polite, and he slightly bows to you in his hello. Our first encounter together, He was amazed that I could see him. Smiling widely due to this fact, he then went above and beyond his greeter duties and escorted me, as did the Black Bear Diner hostess, to my table. The Wilbur D. May Museum, located at 1595 North Sierra Street, is a building that literally, physically hurts me to go into. The mass amount of animal spirits in that structure is severely overwhelming, especially to one who can see the deceased, me. It is, however, quite interesting to watch the expression on other visitors' faces as they look around wondering where those mysterious energies they sense in the building are coming from. Anyone who is a sensitive or empath will most definitely be feeling the animals' spirits hanging out with their stuffed bodies in that museum. Schools are a great place for ghosts to hang out. With all that physical energy from kids, it is like 1,000-fold of Energizer battery bunnies for them. The staff at the Edwin S. Dodson Elementary School, located at 4355 Houston Drive, believe that the school is haunted. When teachers have stayed late into the evening, they have heard very discomforting sounds with no means for the noises. The Earl Wooster High School at 1331 East Plum Lane has varsity, JV, and freshman football teams. The Wooster Boosters are known for their enthusiastic support. However, in the early 1980s, after a devastating football loss in the sectional finals to the McQueen Lancers from Reno's Robert McQueen High School, an overwrought fan shot himself on the playing field. Now when the Lancers play the Colts on the Wooster Field, visiting athletes will trip over nothing, as if some unseen hands have knocked them down. The University of Reno, located at 1664 North Virginia Street, not only houses students, but numerous ghosts as well. Paranormal activity has been reported since 1897. I will describe a few buildings that have had ghostly encounters. Lincoln Hall. Named in honor of President Abraham Lincoln, this building is the oldest student house on campus since 1896, and it is famous for its ghostly residents. Reported by many students is the vision of a pale, shadowy figure gliding by. The vision usually is a harbinger of cold spots, followed by terrifying moans, sobs, and muffled mutterings. The specter is believed to be that of 17-year-old student Charles G. Steiner, who was suffering a horrible fever and died in his Lincoln Hall room in 1897. Perhaps he is the phantom seen floating down the hallways. Or it could be the ghostly remains of mechanical engineering student James Champagne, who died in the dorm under questionable circumstances in 1906 from a gunshot wound. Or perhaps the spirit is a young student named John, a resident who swallowed a cyanide mixture in the 1960s. The John William Mackey School of Mines building is referred to as one of the campus's most haunted buildings. Administrator Garrett Barmore visited this building one Saturday. Hearing a noise, he searched for whomever made the sound. He found no one, but when he returned to the building's entrance, a bench he had placed to block the door had been moved 1 foot away. Legend has it that the portrait of Catherine Mackey, daughter-in-law of mining magnate John Mackey, cannot be moved from the spot inside the conference room on the second floor of the building. The portrait falls over upon attempting to relocate it. On February 1st, 1979, Professor E. R. Larson passed away in the room he used for his office. It is reported that any clocks installed in the room will break or will completely stop working at the time of Lawson's death. Morrill Hall. It is reported by students to see chairs moving on their own on the east side of the first floor, and images of a ghostly-looking woman have been seen looking out of the window on the top floor, which was closed off to anyone at the time of the visions. Residence halls. Nye Hall, Canada Hall, and the Nevada Living Learning Community were all built on top of land that was once a Native American burial site and later a Catholic cemetery. During the construction of the Nevada Living Learning Community, KOLO8 News Now reported that 6 skeletal remains from the time period of the Catholic cemetery were found buried underground. Students report that phantom footsteps and eerie voices can be heard late at night through the ceiling that joins the top floor of the Living Learning Community. Church Fine Arts. This building is reportedly haunted by the ghost of a former professor, specifically in the Church Fine Arts basement. Phantom singing is heard, but upon inspection, no one is there. Maybe the professor is perfecting his Phantom of the Opera role. Please take note that buildings aren't the only places that are haunted in Reno. Virginia Street, just south of the Truckee River, is described as being haunted by the sounds of youngsters crying. Many times, ghostly children are reported walking in the street. The eerie echoes and sightings are believed to originate decades in the past from Native American children who died from the chickenpox and are thought to be buried in the area. One day, while working on the construction of the March 2005 train trench through downtown Reno, a retract concrete employee was quite astonished at what he had seen. He stated, "It looked like an old locomotive from the Comstock era. It came out of a cloud of steam, and there was a clacking. I could hear a kind of mournful whistle, like it was way off in the distance. And then, as it passed, I could hear an evil-sounding laugh." Some think the Phantom Train is a remnant of the 1880s. The historical record tells of a silver ore-laden train coming down Mount Davidson that was derailed and buried under a massive landslide. Newspapers of the day quoted the sole survivor, a brakeman, who went by the handle Lucky Pete. "I was riding right next to the boiler when all of a sudden there was a rumbling. Old Engineer Powell was about 3 sheets to the wind, what with mixing laudanum and whiskey. Instead of pouring on the steam, he hit the dead man switch and half the mountain came down on us. I hightailed it right on out of there, and I'll never forget the sound of old Powell laughing like a banshee." Upon inquiry, OSHA officials said regulations don't cover phantom trains. Last but not least, Robb Canyon sits at northwest Reno on I-80. It has a reputation for being the scariest place in the West. Over the years, it is reported that strange lights are seen and very disturbing sounds are heard, including blood-curdling screams. Ghost hunters are said to have experienced vertigo and disorientation, heard disembodied voices, unexplained cold spots, and have seen shadowy specters that push them down the ravine. Many have said they are hit with an immediate and overwhelming feeling of dread and fear. It is suspected that the hauntings are from the victims of a quadruple murder in this area in the early 1970s. As the story goes, the mutilated bodies of a woman and 3 men were unearthed in the canyon. So far, the slayings have not been solved. But there happens to be a very interesting footnote to this harrowing story. It is believed the killings never happened because the Reno police haven't any record of bloody mayhem in Robb Canyon in the 1970s or at any other time. The Reno Gazette-Journal newspaper archives have no record of any murders happening in Robb Canyon in the 1970s or at any other time. Also, long-term residents of the area don't recall any killings occurring in the 1970s or at any other time. They say the only sounds they hear at night are coyotes calling. It is believed that this massacre was all an internet deception, which gathered momentum to the point that paranormal-related blogs and websites actually posts warnings to not investigate Robb Canyon or investigate at your own risk. These warnings, of course, created even more intense interest with ghost hunters. As a paranormal investigator myself, my advice is to not rely on internet reports for haunted locations. I advise you to explore a place and come to your own conclusion. Don't join in the internet hype and add to the already exaggerated sensationalism of scary thrills. And one more suggestion, if I may. Always remember that true paranormal investigations are conducted with discretion, dignity, and respect, and are kept that way. Reno does have its share of awesome ghosts in particular buildings and areas. But please remember too, Reno, as does other cities and towns, has its share of sensationalized paranormal activity. If you would like to purchase my books, that many of these stories are printed in, they are available at my website, which is www.sandiepsychicstones.com.